Question 8. Here are the first 5 numbers in a sequence: 47, 41, 35, 29 and 23. Find the first negative number in the sequence. So first I need to find a pattern and find out what's happening here. And as I go from 47 to 41, I notice that I am taking away 6, I'm subtracting 6. And the same again here, subtracting 6, subtracting 6. So I'm just going to keep taking 6 away from 23. So 23 is what they've given you. If I were to take away 6, I am left with 17. Take away 6 again, I'm left with 11. Take away 6 again, I'm left with 5. Take away 6 again, I'm left with -1. And there is my first negative number in the sequence, -1. You get 1 mark for recognising that it's taking away 6, and your second mark comes from getting the right answer as -1. Sarah says -100 is not a number in the sequence. Is Sarah correct? So you could keep going and taking 6 away and taking 6 away. That would take a very long time. What you should notice is that every single number is odd. 23, 17, 11, 5, -1. Take away 6 again, takes me to -7. All of those numbers are odd, and -100 is not an odd number. So I would say Sarah is correct. Because all of the numbers in the sequence are odd, but -100 is even. And just 1 mark for saying that. You will not get a mark if you just say Sarah is correct. You have to give a reason on that one. Okay, question 9. Becky invests £5,000 for 2 years in a bank account. She gets simple interest at a rate of 3% per year. Work out the total amount of interest Becky gets by the end of 2 years. So, 3% at simple interest just means she gets 3% on what she invests into that. So we need to find 3% of 5,000. Loads of different ways you could do this. We've got a calculator which makes it even easier. But 3% is 3 per 100 of 5,000. So if you were to type that in on your calculator, and again, there are different ways you could do this. You could, if you've got your Casio, which does do fractions, you may want to use the fraction button. Otherwise, you can get it as a decimal. So 3 divided by 100 is 0.03 times by 5,000 equals 150. So 150 would be 3%. So after the first year, she gets an extra £150. But then she gets £150 again. So after the first year, she's earned £150 because that's 3%. And after the second year, she gets another lot of £150. 150 in the first year, 150 in the second year, she gets £300 overall. 150 add 150 equals £300. So 1 mark for getting 3%, working out that's 150. Your second mark comes from saying that she has that twice, so that becomes £300. A teacher asks George to think of a number. Add 10 to your number and multiply the answer by 3. George thinks of a number. He writes down 5 plus 10 times 3 equals 35. What should George have written down here? Now, it's quite tricky to just look at this because actually what he has done is added 10 times by 3. But looking at what he's written down, if you were to work out this sum without the answer, we'd have to follow BIDMAS. So we'd have to do the multiplication first. So we'd have to do 10 times by 3 and then add 5, which is 35. Now what he should have done is written down 5, add 10, because he had to add 10 first, and then he had to times it by 3. So can you see all I've done is put the brackets in, but the two different questions that he's writing are completely different. BIDMAS, brackets first. 15 times by 3 equals 45. 1 mark for saying 5 plus 10 times 3. 1 mark for saying 45. Question 11. Polly has a full 5 kilogram sack of rice. She pours the rice from the sack into the bags. She fills as many bags as possible. Each full bag contains 350 grams of rice. How many bags did Polly fill from the sack of rice? So you've got a calculator here, but there's a couple of different ways that you can do this. First thing I've noticed is that that's in kilograms, that's in grams. Now I think that's going to be easier to convert the 5 kilograms into grams. So 5 kilograms, kilo means 1,000, so 5,000 grams. And what we've done is we've found out how many bags we could fill with that 5,000. So we wanted to see how many of those 350s fit into 5,000. So on my calculator, I'm going to do 5,000 divided by 350. Again, you've got a calculator, so just make sure you use it, even if it is just to double check your answer. 5,000 divided by 350 equals 14.2 something or other. So she can fill 14 and a bit. But what it says is how many bags did she fill, because each full bag contained 350 grams. We need to think about how many full bags she filled. So there are 14 bags. The answer is 14. And on this question, you can get 1 mark for saying that either 1,000 grams equals 1 kilogram or 5 kilograms is 5,000 grams. Your second mark is from doing 5,000 divided by 350 or 5 divided by 0.35. Your last mark comes from realising that it is 14.285, is realising that we had to round that back to 14. Polly assumes that the rice from 2 sacks will fill twice as many bags as the rice from 1 sack. Is Polly correct? So Polly assumes that the rice from 2 sacks will fill twice as many bags as the rice from 1 sack. Well, if one sack will fill 14.28 bags, if 1 sack fills 14.2857, then 2 sacks will fill this number times by 2, 28.571, which would only be 28 full sacks. So yes, Polly is correct. Now, had this number have been something like 14.5857, when we multiplied it by 2, what we would have got is 29 point something, so then it would be incorrect. But because this is less than half a bag, and when we double it, it's still going to be less than a full bag, it means that Polly is correct.